Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to today's Friday Reflections on this Friday, the 12th of December 2025. I hope you are well wherever you're tuning into this from. And today we're going to continue our study of life and leadership lessons from Surah al-Kahf, based upon this book by the same name by Professor Dr Hassan Mohi-ud-Din Qadri. We're continuing on page 148 of the book. Leadership lessons from the story of Khidr and Moses. The story of Khidr and Moses, peace be upon them, offers numerous lessons applicable to the dynamics of leadership, team management, and the relationship between a boss and an employee. It provides insights into trust, patience, communication, and the nature of effective mentorship and leadership. 1. A leader's humility in learning. Lesson 1 of the lesson, yeah. Moses, peace be upon him, was a great leader. He seeks knowledge from Khidr, peace be upon him, acknowledging that even leaders need mentors and experts. And the application is leaders should remain open to learning from their team members, advisors, or mentors, regardless of their own expertise. A humble leader inspires respect and builds collaborative trust. 2. Patience with the learning curve. Lesson. Khidr repeatedly emphasizes that Moses lacks the patience to understand his actions immediately. Application. Leaders should recognize that employees may not grasp the full picture of the strategic goals straight away. Likewise, employees should trust that their leaders see a broader vision. Patience cultivates nurturing a productive environment. 3. Trust in leadership decisions. Lesson. Moses struggles to trust Khidr's seemingly irrational actions, but learns that they serve a greater purpose. In application, teams must trust their leaders' decisions, even when they lack the complete information. Leaders, in turn, should communicate the rationale behind their decisions and their actions where appropriate to foster trust and alignment. 4. Clear communication of expectations. Lesson. Khidr sets explicit rules for Moses. Do not question his actions until he explains them. Application. Leaders should establish clear expectations and boundaries with their team members. Similarly, team members should honor these guidelines to ensure smoother collaboration and minimize misunderstandings. 5. Learning through experience. Lesson. Moses learns from each situation Khidr creates, gaining insights through hands-on experience. Application. Leaders should create opportunities for employees to learn from challenges and mistakes, fostering growth and resilience. Experiential learning can be far more impactful than theoretical guidance. So, here in the first 5 points, a leader's humility in learning, you have to be humble in order to learn. And so the leader should be also humble and not just the person who is learning from them. Both need to have a degree of humility. Patience with the learning curve. Both the leader has to be patient with the employee, and the employee has to be patient with the leader. When there's a lack of patience, then it's not going to change how fast the employee is learning, and it could actually impair the speed of which the employee is learning. And of course, if the leader gets tired of that too easily, there's going to be a constant overturning of staff as the leader employs new people to do that same role where none of them have been sufficiently trained. Similarly, if the employee is not patient with the learning curve and gives up, then the employee is not going to end up in that work they could lose that job. And if they have that characteristic, they are going to forever be stuck in an awkward situation. They're not going to make progress. Trust in leadership decisions. Moses struggles to trust Khidr's seemingly irrational actions. Now, in the case of Khidr, peace be upon him, it is somewhat understandable in some of these cases. But the point is to understand that we know in Khidr's case that these were done for particular reasons. And we understand, because of the way it's explained in the Quran, that there was a deeper purpose behind it, and Khidr already knew that. But of course, Moses, without this inside knowledge, obviously couldn't grasp it. But at the same time, you need to trust whoever is the leader. Otherwise, why are they your leader? Whether that person is your I was going to say boss because it mentions boss at the beginning of this. I mean, uh, a leader is someone who carries people with them. A boss is someone who just gives out orders. So surely the ideal is to be leaders, leaders that actually cultivate growth within the people who are under them. And similarly, it's important for those people to actually have that aspirational spirit that they are wanting to learn as well, and wanting to improve the work or the products which they produce. In the case of trust, you have to have that trust in the people making the decisions within your company or organization. And if you don't, you either have to move to another organization, or if it's within your ability, then you have to find someone else to do the job. 4, clear communication of expectations. Kida sets an explicit few rules for Moses. He doesn't say much, but he sets explicit rules. And so Moses knew the boundaries. He had clear communication, he had clear guidelines. This is absolutely vital. It's vital for the leader to do that. And ideally, the person who is following the leader should also be clear in their communication. Otherwise, it creates miscommunication and creates problems. And learning through experience, Moses learns from each situation Kida creates. So this is interesting because we sometimes just read this story in the Quran, but did Kida, peace be upon him, actually deliberately create those particular 3 things? Or was this just what Kida was going to do anyway? We don't know. We don't know the full itinerary of what Kida was going to do over that few weeks or however long he was with Moses, if Moses hadn't approached him. So we don't know if this was like the normal things that Kida did, if Kida set up 3 particular examples in order to teach Moses. Now, of course, if you are a leader in a company or an organization and you have an intern or a new employee, then you may actually deliberately set up particular scenarios in order to both test how the employee or intern responds to that and also give them experience, give them opportunities for learning. So that later on, when other things come along, not necessarily deliberately planned, then the employee is prepared for them. 6, constructive feedback and accountability. Lesson. Kida gently reminds Moses each time he falters, allowing him to learn from his mistakes. The application is leaders should provide constructive feedback instead of harsh criticism. Employees should take accountability for their actions and aim for improvement. Now, we see this both with some bosses and also with parents, even some teachers, that when either the intern, employee, or child or student falls short, that they give harsh criticism. Now, if the criticism is too harsh, the learning faculty of the student shuts down because no one wants to be taught to like that. No one's going to respond well in that situation. So while criticism is called for, correction is called for, one should have at the back of their mind, how is the recipient of this going to respond? And what is it I tried to achieve? Do I just want to have a go at them? Or do I want them to learn and improve? Now, I would suggest what most leaders, what most teachers and most parents want is for the recipient of the criticism or correction to learn and improve. So it should be done with patience and kindness and explaining, so that you could explain clearly why why they fell short and how they could actually improve. And the consequences of each, consequences of falling short, and the benefits of going about things in the right way. 7, trusting the process. Lesson: the hidden wisdom behind Khidr's actions teaches Moses that not everything is immediately apparent or understandable. Application: leaders and employees must have faith in the process and the long-term vision of their organization. Leaders should inspire confidence by demonstrating foresight and sound judgment. If either the leader lacks confidence in their organization or the employee lacks confidence in it, both will fall short in their duties because they're probably already looking elsewhere for other opportunities or jobs because they're not confident in what they're doing. So it's very important that we instill confidence. That if we're a leader, this is one of the responsibilities of a leader, that you have confidence in what you're doing and can inspire and lead. And it's also important for the employees to be given that confidence, which often has to come from the leader, to a degree at least, in order to inspire them to do their best. But also, there's an element of responsibility there on the employee or on the member of an organization, that they too must have some confidence and not undermine the confidence within the organization, because ultimately it's only going to hurt them if everything falls apart. 8, adapting to leadership styles. Moses struggles to adapt to Khidr's unconventional methods, ultimately leading to their separation. Clearly, I mean, Moses himself was a leader. He was a leader of a vast multitude of people who he brought out of Egypt. But at the same time, clearly, Moses' leadership style was different from Khidr's, and he struggled to understand Khidr's approach to leadership and also what he knew. But as the application here mentions, employees should aim to adapt to their leader's management style, understanding that diverse approaches may yield better outcomes. Leaders should recognize when a team member's strengths might be utilized more effectively elsewhere. And interesting reflection here, because it's true. I mean, Moses did try to adapt to Khidr and his style because Moses wanted to benefit from the knowledge and wisdom that Allah had given him. But also, in this, is Khidr recognized And ultimately, in the end, Moses recognized that his time and efforts would be better utilized elsewhere. And Khidr indicates that. And Moses understood, and Moses said, basically, I recognize I've not followed our agreement and I've fallen short, so I am going to take leave. 9, balancing authority and collaboration. Lesson. Khidr maintains authority while allowing Moses to engage in dialogue and express his concerns. Application. Leaders should balance authority with a willingness to listen and engage with team members. Collaboration fosters mutual respect and innovation. So this is the importance when you have a chair or an emir or a leader of an organization. Even it said, even if a group of people are traveling from one place to another, you should select from among them one person to be your emir, your leader for the journey. Doesn't mean you blindly follow them either, but it does mean that you select whoever is the best person you think is the best person for that to take that role. And when they do, you have to also respect them in order to get the best out of this arrangement. Because if you don't take account of what they're saying, then how are you going to benefit from it? But it's also vital for the leader. The leader is not just leading, the leader is aiming to actually foster that collaboration amongst the group so that everybody can contribute. You get some leaders, they are like dictating, it's just they're telling everyone in their group. And then you have other leaders, such as the Prophet Muhammad SAW himself, who they ask the people around them for their viewpoints, their perspectives, maybe even send certain people off in little groups to go and come up with their own ideas and their own plans. And then when they come back and feed that back to the leader either says, no, I don't think it's quite right, or this isn't necessarily the right thing for this. Or if it is, says, yes, absolutely, you carry on, keep on developing that idea and building upon it. And this is what a good leader does, so that they can actually actively benefit from all of the knowledge and skills and input of everyone within their team. Ten, the importance of ethical decision-making. Lesson. Khidr's actions, though seemingly harsh, are rooted in justice and compassion, damaging the boat to protect the fishermen, for instance. Application. Leaders must prioritize ethical decision-making by considering the long-term impact of their team and organizations. On their team and their organizations. Employees, in turn, should trust that ethical leadership will guide them towards success. It's vital that the decisions that we make are made in the framework of justice and compassion, considering everyone within the organization, and also considering who we are actually interacting with. If we have customers, if we have clients, if we have business partners, that we're also looking at what is going to be just and fair with regards to them as well, not to undermine us, but at the same time to ensure that there is justice and fairness in what we're doing. Resilience, the fate of challenges. Moses and Khidr encounter complex and morally challenging situations that require resilience and faith. Application. Both leaders and team members should develop resilience when facing uncertainty or hardship, recognizing that challenges often bring hidden growth opportunities. 12. Knowing when to part ways. Lesson. The separation between Moses and Khidr signifies that not all relationships are meant to last indefinitely. Application. Leaders should recognize when an employee no longer aligns with their organization's vision. Employees should also identify when it's time to move on for personal growth or to better align with their own values. There comes a time when an employee will look towards their company or organization and question if they're in the right place. Similarly, there comes a time when leaders should recognize when they or their employees are in the right place, and if this is what the leader continues to want to do, or the employees, if their employees are really in the best place, if they're happy in that role or not. And that may call for a a friendly conversation, ideally. Um, and maybe they are, or maybe they're not. But the thing is, you have to weigh these things up and consider them. Just because you are in a particular situation at a certain point in time doesn't necessarily mean that that is ultimately where you're supposed to be. And if we don't reflect on that and make decisions on that, then we may not necessarily be in the right place. And yeah, we might not achieve our potential. 13, empowering others for the future. Lesson: Khidr's actions benefit others indirectly, such as safeguarding the orphan's treasure for the future. Applications: leaders should empower their team members, emphasizing long-term success over immediate gains. Employees should view their contributions as investments towards the collective and towards the future. 14, recognizing the hidden value in setbacks. Lesson: each of Khidr's actions, damaging the boat, killing the boy, and repairing the wall, initially appears to be a loss, but later reveals a hidden benefit. Application: leaders and team members should review setbacks as opportunities for growth and learning, recognizing that even seemingly adverse outcomes can lead to future advantages. Even in calamities and difficulties, often we learn things. We learn new skills. We learn from the actual experiences themselves. We learn things that can actually help us going forwards. But only if we're open to that. If we blind to it, we won't get those benefits. Conclusion: the story of Khidr and Moses is not merely a tale of a teacher and a student. It represents a journey of the soul, a test of patience, and a lesson in surrendering to the unseen wisdom of the divine. It illustrates the delicate balance between knowledge and humility, reason and faith, and questioning and trusting. Moses, through a great prophet, humbles himself before Khidr, a man of hidden knowledge, and a guide whose wisdom flows not from worldly logic, but from the wellspring of divine decree. With each encounter, Moses struggles with his own understanding, with his sense of justice that clashes with actions that appear unjust. However, over time, he learns that every seeker must ultimately realize that true wisdom is not always perceived with the eyes, nor comprehended with the mind, but felt in the depths of the soul. This sacred encounter serves as a mirror for all relationships between mentor and mentee, leader and follower, master and student, and even an employee and an employer and employee. It teaches that leadership is not just about authority, but about trust. And of course, there is the most important thing, because in all of these relationships, it requires a degree of trust. And trust is one of those most precious things that when it's there, it gives you confidence to be able to perform your best and to be loyal to your leader, to your partner, to your friends, to your organization, to your company. But when that trust is broken, it's very hard. It's very hard to repair that. Always be mindful of that. Trust is one of the most precious of things. A true seeker must sometimes relinquish their need for immediate answers and proceed with patience. Unseen wisdom often unfolds in ways beyond comprehension, and only those with humble hearts can embrace its beauty. For those who lead, it serves as a reminder that wisdom lies not only in experience, but also in being open to learning, even from those they assume to be beneath them. For those who follow, it is a lesson in trust, in recognizing that not all knowledge can be demanded, and that faith in the unseen often bears the sweetest fruits. You know, it's an interesting one there. The Sheikh mentions those they assume to be beneath them. Now, I'm not a person who assumes anyone is beneath me, but a lot of people would look down upon people who are hotel cleaners. I remember in 2017 when I went to the United States on an international visitors leadership program, and I was introduced to so many amazing people that were arranged by the State Department. And I'm not knocking any of those. They are amazing, talented, brilliant people. And it was an honor and a pleasure to meet with them all. But one of the most amazing people that I met was a cleaner in a hotel in which I was staying in Atlanta. And that's all she does. She's the cleaner. All I did is something I normally do wherever I am. I said, hello. And we got chatting. And wallahi, the wisdom of this woman was amazing. She reminded me of the Oracle of the Matrix. And I was saying to her, wow. I said, what else do you do? Do you run some kind of circles? Do you have, an online presence? Do you teach on YouTube or anything like this? And she said, no. She let me take a photo of her, but she told me never to post it, so I haven't. But I took a photo just to remind myself of this remarkable woman. And according to her profession, she's just a cleaner. But clearly, she's a lot more than a cleaner. And I'm sure within her family and her community, even if in an unofficial role, she plays an important role because she had such tremendous wisdom. So never look down upon anyone, as the Sheikh mentions here, because you can learn amazing things in unexpected places and from unexpected people. In the grand design of life, we are all both Moses and Khidr, at different moments, sometimes seeking answers and sometimes entrusted with them. The path of wisdom is walked not with pride, but with surrender. In that surrender, the veils of understanding are lifted, revealing a world in which every moment, no matter how perplexing, is but a thread in the tapestry of divine wisdom. And I have nothing more to add there. What a wonderful way to end that. Again, for those who are wondering, who were tuned in late, this is the book, Life and Leadership Lessons from Surah al-Kahf by Professor Dr Hassan Mohi-ud-Din Qadri. I believe this is certainly available on Minhaj, but it's maybe available on Amazon and other sellers and Islamic bookshops. It came out this year. It's a recent publication. And I highly recommend it for anyone who wants to get a more in-depth understanding of Surah al-Kahf and also the life and leadership lessons which are profound within that surah. If you find these videos, podcasts, and other content which I produce interesting and useful and beneficial, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also there is a Buy Me a Coffee link on each of my social media channels. And if you can sign up to that and support that, this will allow me to focus on producing this content, which is inshallah benefiting people within the UK and around the world. I aim to produce I aim to continue to produce this content, and I aim to keep it free at the point that people are receiving it. But it does require a dedication of time and effort, which takes my time and effort away from other things. So if people can support, then it would be greatly beneficial to this work, and you too can share in the blessings. May Allah bless you all. I wish you a wonderful weekend. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of God be with you all.